And I'm going to give you more examples about how to create the classes and functions by using this slide set. Another characteristics of the object is the polymorphism. We have this white wolf and we have this black wolf, somehow similar but kind of different. Polymorphism means poly, many, and morph, shape. And in programming, polymorphism means that different behaviors with similar signatures. Here, signature means the method's name and the parameter list. For example, let's see this example. Here, the hotel, we have this hotel class, and we have this hotel class and open door function, this perfectly normal function, right? And we have this function is perfectly normal function, and we have again another function with the same function name. This is not allowed in the in MATLAB, right? But in some cases, things like this happens. We have this Lotte Hotel. Hotel means that we have this we have this constructor, and Lotte Hotel open door. You can use this open door class function, and Lotte Hotel use check-in, and it doesn't have any parameters, and this corresponds to this function. And Lotte Hotel dot check-in, and we have one parameter. This corresponds to this case. Means that we have actually two functions taking in two different sets of the parameters. One is it doesn't have any parameter sets, and the other has one variable as a parameter. How to code this? Actually, how to code this in MATLAB is this. You can consolidate, you can aggregate, you can combine these two functions, these two checking functions, to make this one single function. So this program will make errors, and this is not going to, this is okay. So why don't you pause for a second and code this class def hotel, and you type in these methods, and what you can see here is that you just list up as many variables as possible as a parameter sets, and n-arg-in defines how many arguments, how many parameters for a function was given, right? So n-arg-in 1 means that it just uses this, right? Then it means that this days wasn't inserted in, wasn't inputted in, so it gives a default value, right? Default value. What happens here is that if check-in and without any numbers, if parenthesis ends like this, then this days takes the default value, and it just says that parameter 1 was inserted in as in the days part, and someone checks in for 1 day was printed out. If 2 was inserted in, then n number of argument in becomes 2. Then this if statement, this part becomes false, then if goes to the end, and this days is already here, so it just says someone checks in for 2 days. Okay? This means that we can use this function check-in with many different sets of the parameter, with different settings of the parameter sets. And it means that we are using different signatures, multiple signatures for a function. Remember that signature is the summation of the method name and parameter list. Method name doesn't change, but here parameter list change it, right? The one thing was the null set, and the other thing was the empty set, and the other thing was the number 2 was in the parameter sets, right? So we have multiple signatures. And actually, by using the n argue in, we use this kind of multiple signatures. Okay? So here what you want to discuss is this, method overriding. Method overriding is that if we have a superclass, base class, saying do running, like for example, do running, and its derived class, subclass, right, child class, has the same method signature, do running, then it's masked, right? And the subclasses do running was executed. In that case, we overrided this superclass's methods. It's called method overriding. And here, method overloading means that we are using multiple shapes of the multiple signatures for a single method. So for instance, a class has a method of a num and name, name and home, etc. We have multiple signatures by varying the parameter list, right? So then actually what happens is that it just looks like that we have multiple methods. So that's called many morphism signatures. So why don't you just pause for a second? And actually, I'd like to suggest that you type in this and see the errors. And you type in this and see how it works. Okay? Always type in so that you can learn your programming, you can improve your programming skill, and you can be better in the offline course, right? Okay, the next thing is the abstract class. Abstract class is a kind of, it's a step before instantiations. Abstract class or abstract base class in MATLAB means that a class has an abstract method. So here, let's look at this. Loom inherits handle. It looks all normal. But here, methods, parentheses with abstract, right? It's quite strange, right? And then what happens is that this open door, open window, and we have these parameters. We don't have function here. We don't have function here. And we don't have end here. We don't have the function block at all. Means that we don't have any substance inside of these functions. Why use abstract methods? Means that we specify the names of the methods, we specify the parameter list, but we don't have the actual stuff. That is called the abstract method. It's a method, but it's abstract. It doesn't have a real substance. If we go back to here, if we come back here, bedroom inherits from the room here, right? And it has open door and open window. This looks all normal, right? And this lobby inherits from this room, right? And it has only one function, right? These are all inherited functions. And what you are doing is the method what? Overriding. Previously, the open door was given in room. In room class, this open door and open window was given, but it was abstract. Now, the open door and open window are overriding previous abstract method, right? Why we need this kind of abstract class? Because that in some cases, we want to set up some room class. And this is, and just a room is not in the architecture. Room has some purpose. Sometimes a bedroom, sometimes a lobby. But the common thing is that lobby should have some door, lobby should have some window, and bedroom should have some door, and bedroom should have some window. In that case, you want to inherit that. And you specify these common parts as a room, and you put the open door and open window. Okay? Thing is that for the bedroom, for the lobby, opening door and open window are two really huge separate things. In that case, what you want to do is that you want to make it blank at the room level and force bedroom to implement this open door must override. And this lobby must override this open window and open door method. If it doesn't override, then it's not an actual design. It's not, a room is an abstract concept. So it's called abstract class. And if this is going to be instantiated, then this all enforced method overriding should be completed. And that's what we are doing, enforcing our design. Abstract class is not a complete implementation. It's more like half-made product, right? And therefore, you can't make an instance out of it. Like this, you can create a bedroom here because you implemented all the abstract method, but you can't instantiate lobby because it misses open window method overriding, right? So you have to override this open window in the lobby class to instantiate it. Okay? Means that we are enforcing if something is a room, then it must have some methods, open door and open window, right? So bedroom, if bedroom is a room, it should have these functions. If lobby is a room, it should have these functions. We are kind of marking down our design concept as a room. Okay. And sometimes we might want to change the handle class, which is the superclass of all reference classes in MATLAB. Okay? You are inheriting handle with this mark, right? And handle has actually many hidden methods, equal, greater than, less than, not equal, delete, and etc. Okay? And if you want to change equal, like if you have this handle inheritance, you can use your class to check the equilibrium, like this. This is possible because your new room, this is, rather I would like to erase it and come back with a pen. And this equality check is possible because it inherits this handle class. And what is happening here is actually handle class has this equal method, which uses this operator. Okay, and if you erase this handle, you will never going to use this equality check. Greater than, less than, not equal, and delete are all there. Okay? But sometimes, if you want to define a new equal method, then what you want to do is you have to method override of this equality function. Okay? Like this. We have these equality functions, and we have this true false return, and then you can see that we are doing some if comparisons to return the true or false. Okay, and we have this doc typing, and like this. We are going to cover this in the offline class. So now you might resolve some readers like your questions about this handle question references, and also with like this and these things, right? If you still have questions, please ask me at the offline course so that I can answer you about this kind of these notations and handle notations. These are all important things that you can that you should know when you are handling the classes in MATLAB. Okay. And actually, there are more about the UML notations. We have these use case diagrams, and we have these class diagrams. We have these state diagrams. We have this. This is what? This is a package diagram, and etc. Right? Deployment diagram. I'm sorry, deployment diagram. We have this. And one of most commonly used, many times used diagrams is the class diagrams. Actually, we studied that, right? And we focus on the class diagram. We are going to pause for a second here, and we are going to come back to the class diagram for more notations. And now you see that we already covered this simple class diagram, but what actually writes in the real-world class diagrams is that we have more notations. And what we are going to do next parts is that we are going to cover these the new notations in the class diagrams. Okay, so I'm going to pause this. I'm going to stop here for this part, and I'm going to come back later. And meanwhile, please type in those class scripts, class programs in the MATLAB codes, so that you are more fluent in typing in creating classes, methods, and properties. Okay? So thank you for listening, and I'm going to stop.